Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. In this video we are going to have a look at some of the top engine noises and their causes. Well, there are different engine noises that are basically generated from the engine when the engine is running. Most of them are caused by lack of lubrication, some of them are caused by improper adjustment, and some of them are caused by wear and tear. Now let's have a look at some of the major noises that can happen inside the engine. Well, let's begin from valves. There are noises that can be generated at the valve. If, for example, there is a problem with the valve clearance, you happen to hear a tapping noise, clicking sound or a ticking sound, something like this. So if the engine is running and you happen to hear this kind of tapping noise, which is loud, it could be a result of improper valve clearance adjustment or anything problem on the valve tray. It could sound something like this. So if you happen to hear this kind of tapping, it could be an indication of wrong valve clearance. If there is large valve clearance, you can hear a clicking or tapping noise of this kind. The other thing that can generate noise in the engine is the fuel injectors. Ticking noise can be heard from fuel injectors as the valves in the fuel injectors open and close. When the valves are opening and closing on a diesel, they are opened and closed by a high pressure fuel in this conventional injection type diesel. On some, it is electronically controlled by a solenoid switch. So as the valve of the injectors quickly open and close, we might happen to hear a clicking sound or a ticking noise. It is normal unless it is extremely loud. If it is extremely loud, it could be a problem indicating there is a problem with the fuel injector needle, or it could be an indication that there is a problem with the fuel injector pressure spring. So the other source of engine noise is ticking noise that is heard as the needle of the fuel injectors open and close inside the fuel injectors. Then as we go further down in here, when there is combustion, there are sometimes abnormal combustion related noises that are generated inside the cylinder. If you hear a loud bang or a loud explosion from within the cylinder, that can indicate that there is some abnormal combustion inside the cylinder. This could be as a result of poor quality fuel, for example. If there is a poor quality fuel, if the fuel that is admitted into the cylinder is with a wrong octane, that can cause abnormal combustion. It could lead to detonation, or it could lead to knock, or pre-ignition can also result in abnormal banging noise inside the engine. Backfire can also happen when poor quality fuel is supplied to the combustion chamber. Detonation is where you hear a metallic knock as a result of combustion taking place in more than one place at a time. For example, if combustion is somewhere initiated around here corner, and if another combustion is initiated here, it could be as a result of carbon deposit, or it could be as a result of hot spot. If combustion is initiated here and another combustion is initiated here, those combustion as they propagate, they tend to collide. So combustion happening in two opposite direction, that will cause a banging noise, loud bang or loud explosion as a result of the collision of those expanding gases. So that kind of metallic noise as a combustion in more than one place can cause extremely loud explosion inside the cylinder. Pre-ignition can happen if the spark timing is not correctly adjusted. That can lead to pre-ignition, or if there are hot spots within the cylinder, if there are carbon buildups on the piston, or if there are carbon buildups right here on the valves and the cylinder head, those hot spots can cause pre-ignition to take place. And sometimes lean air fuel mixture can also lead to pre-ignition. So these are some of the abnormal combustion noises that are related to engine combustion. It could be detonation, knock, pre-ignition, or backfire that can be heard. Then as we go down, there are other noises that are heard from the piston. For example, if there is a piston slap. Piston slap is happening when there is large clearance between the cylinder wall and the piston. If there is a clearance, you happen to have this kind of noise. If there is clearance, look, this is a piston slap kind of thing. When the skirt collides with the cylinder wall, this is like a muffled bell sound or a hollow clatter. If you hear a hollow clatter, this is caused by excessive clearance between the piston skirt and the cylinder wall. Piston slap is extremely loud when the clearance is large and when the engine is with high mileage. It could be caused by a worn out cylinder wall, or it could be caused by damaged piston skirt. You happen to hear a ticking or slapping noise. More noticeable when the engine is cold. When the engine is cold, the gap between the piston and the cylinder wall will be relatively wide because of cold temperature, and the piston will not expand. That ticking noise, you happen to hear that ticking noise when the engine is cold especially. The other noise that is associated with the piston is the piston pin noise. If you happen to hear a double clicking noise, double knocking sound caused by lack of lubrication on the piston pin, if there is a clearance between the piston pin and its housing, that can cause a knocking sound. Look at here, for example. There is a gap. Piston pin is having gap between the piston pin and the piston, and between the piston pin and the connecting rod small end. If there is excessive clearance, that can also cause knocking sound. That is called the piston pin noise. Now let's go down. The other thing that can be noisy inside the engine is when there is a problem with the connecting rod main end and crankshaft journals. If there is gap between this, we happen to have a rumbling or thumping sound when accelerating. If there is poor lubrication, if there is low oil pressure, that can cause excessive noise. So if you happen to hear this kind of noise, look. If you happen to hear this kind of noise, rumbling or thumping sound when accelerating especially, this is caused by low oil pressure in here, or it could be caused by excessive wear. If you happen to have this kind of sound, you better stop the vehicle, do not drive the vehicle, remove the oil sump and check the condition of the connecting rod journal, the bearing surfaces and the crankshaft journal as well. This is a very critical kind of noise. If there is lack of lubrication and if there is a damaged bearing in here, if the shell bearings are damaged, that can cause extremely loud rumbling sound. This kind of rumbling sound when accelerating. And when you push the piston down, you can also hear that the piston moves slightly up and down. If the piston is moving up and down like so, if you happen to notice that the piston is moving like this, it means this surface is gone. So whenever you happen to hear this kind of noise, stop the engine and take corrective measure. Look, this is an indication of excessive wear. It should not be moving like this. It should not be making this kind of noise as well. The other type of noise that can happen in an engine is belt-related noise. See, there is a belt that is driving the alternator and the water pump. So if you happen to hear a squealing sound, a squealing noise, that can be a result of damaged alternator belt, damaged water pump belt. So if there is a problem with this belt, if it becomes loose or if it is damaged, you might happen to hear a squealing sound. And finally, we are going to have a look at whining noise. Whining noise that is caused by damaged alternator bearing or damaged water pump. So if you happen to hear a whining sound from the bearing, it could be an indication of a worn alternator bearing, or it could be a problem with the idler, it could be a problem with fan belt idler, or it could be a problem with the power steering pump. So any whining noise is an indication of damaged parts on alternators, on power steering pumps, and on other accessories. These are some of the top noises that are generated within the engine. Now let's have a look at some of the main causes. As we have mentioned earlier, the number one cause of noise, excessive noise within the engine is lack of lubrication. For example, if there is lack of lubrication, the crankshaft and this gap will be large and that will make it noisy. And the other cause of bad noise or loud noise is improper adjustment. For example, like here, improper adjustment. And the other major cause is wear and tear. For example, if there is excessive gap here, that can cause noise. So these are some of the top things that can lead to engine noise: inadequate lubrication, wrong adjustment, and wear and tear. Well, dear viewers, that is all we have for you in this presentation. If you like this video, smash the like button. If you are new here, do consider subscribing and turn on notifications so that you will be notified whenever we come up with another video. Till then, stay safe.